A warm welcome for today's lab lecture series on STL laboratory. The subject code is 18 ECL 58 and the experiment number is 4, which will give you importance on simulation of various flip-flops. In this, we want to cover and talk about the advantages of flip-flops and how these flip-flops they behave in a digital circuit, and what are the advantages of using these flip-flops when we construct a digital circuit for sequential simulations. I, Professor Prasanna D. Kulkarni, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of ECE, is presenting this lab lecture series. The contents which will be covered in this today's lecture series will be on understanding the memory devices that we call it as flip-flops. The basic operation of flip-flop is a storage of a binary data, which you also call it as digital memory devices. So the basic operation of a flip-flop is to hold a data for a predominant of time, and these flip-flops are normally controlled by a clock input. This clock basically works as a control input for any flip-flops. Whenever this clock is activated, the flip-flop is made to change the state, and therefore these flip-flops are called as bi-state elements. The bi-state indicates here is that they are capable of holding either logic 0 or they are capable of holding logic 1 for a defined amount of time, and therefore these flip-flops are used as memory devices. The capability of flip-flop is it can hold only one bit of data. So based upon the number of bits you need to hold, the different combination of flip-flops are made available, and they are having basically three important states. Every flip-flop undergoes the important states, such as it is having the reset state, then it is having a set state and a no change state. And some of the flip-flops they also have got a forbidden state, which we normally don't use, and therefore we say that flip-flops basically has three important states of operations. And the entire lecture series is focused to understand the operation of these flip-flops and their usages, and we are going to construct these flip-flops using our Verilog language. The entire learning outcome of the video lecture series is that the student will have a better exposure on the simulation platforms used for Verilog codes written for flip-flops, and also we're going to check the importance of these flip-flops in the digital circuit simulation when we talk about the sequential circuits. The contents which were covered in my previous lecture series have focused upon the program written for 32-bit ALU design, and we have tried to go through the behavioral abstractions and also have tried some simple sample programs for our practice, and also have seen how we can extend this 32-bit ALU to 64-bit ALU design. The complete lecture series belongs to the level 3 in the Bloom's taxonomy level, wherein the information which we have understood in the previous experiments like gate level design simulations in Verilog. By knowing this knowledge, now today we are going to implement the design of flip-flops, which are combination of different gates and different Verilog extractions. So therefore it belongs to the level 3 of applying. Now with this, let us get into the today's discussion on the lab lecture series, which will focus upon the discussion on flip-flops. So first of all, we would like to go for the first flip-flop, which we call it as D flip-flop. So this D flip-flop stands for delay flip-flop. The D indicates here is delay. The meaning is that the output, which is called as Q, and one more output is Q bar, which is actually a complement of this output. So this flip-flop is capable of holding one bit of data for a time duration set by the clock, and therefore it produces the delay at the production of the output value. It means that the Q output totally depends on D, but it produces the output only when the clock is inserted. So therefore this flip-flop is also called as a delay flip-flop. It simply produces the output same as that of input, but with the addition of delay. So let us understand now the construction of this flip-flop, and also we'll try to execute this on our Verilog simulation platform. Now as you can see, the construction makes use of two NAND gates and these two NAND gates are called as cross coupled NAND gates. As you can see, the output of the first is acting as input to the next one. So therefore this particular configuration we call it as cross coupling. And now as you can see in the D flip-flop is that the NAND gate is receiving the direct input and another NAND gate here is receiving an inverted output. Okay, so therefore if this NAND gate receives 0, this second NAND gate will receive the inversion of that 1, and vice versa. When D is applied 0, this NAND gate will receive it as inverted value. So with this configuration, now we can follow this particular chart, or we can represent this with a symbol. Normally we represent the entire circuit diagram. This is the diagram through you making use of logic gates. Now this is a symbol to represent this particular D flip-flop. As you can see, there is a clock. Now what will happen to this flip-flop is that if you apply 0 at the input of D, and by applying clock, the output will be produced as same as that of input, and if there is no clock is applied, the output will remain at the previous state. Okay, so there is no change in the output when no clocks are applied. It means it is holding that bit for that much duration of time. And similarly, when the input is 1, when a clock is applied, the output will change to 1, and it will be holding that output until a new clock is applied to the input side. If it is not applied, then this particular flip-flop will hold that data until unless a power is applied to this circuit. So therefore these are called as memory devices because they are capable of holding data for a prolonged time. I think we have understood now flip-flops. Let us see how can we implement this flip-flop on the actual design on Verilog simulation. Okay, so I'll take you to the Verilog platform and I'll be using a Xilinx, okay, as a software tool, okay, ISC simulator, and a code is written for D flip-flop. Now what are the inputs for this D flip-flop? As just now we have quoted, same I'm going to write it in the form of Verilog code, and first of all I would like to write code with behavioral modeling style. Okay, I think everybody now have understood what is behavioral modeling. So I'm using this behavioral modeling for writing the code of this particular flip-flop. So first one is module D flip-flop, and I need to find out the port list. Port list means which all are inputs and outputs for this. So D, clock, Q and QB. QB is Q bar here for me. Okay. Now out of this, which all are inputs and outputs, I need to designate them. So I write input D and clock. So for a flip-flop, only D and clock are inputs. Output register, because I'm writing behavioral modeling. So output register Q and QB. They are my outputs. Now always is one of the important statements which we use in our behavioral modeling. Means I want to do this forever. Okay, forever. Always at forever at which condition? Positive edge of the clock. So always when the clock rises from 0 to 1, which we call it as positive edge, this particular program should start executing. So for every positive edge, the meaning of always is that for every positive edge, the change has to occur. Okay, if no positive edge occurs, then this piece of code will not get executed. That is the meaning of this particular always statement. So always at positive edge of clock. Now what we have to do? Because there are multiple assignments, I'll be using begin and end. I'll be using begin and end. So begin, I use a case statements here. Case of D depends upon the D input. Different cases has to be executed. Now what are the cases here? So 1 dash B0, 1 dash B0. Okay, so if D is 0, the meaning is this one. If D is 0, Q is equal to 0. This is how we write case statements. So when D is 0, Q has to be 0, and similarly when D is 1, Q has to be 1. So this is what our table which has indicated. So in the behavioral modeling, we are representing the table in the form of equations. Okay, so therefore the name is called as behavioral modeling. And then when all the cases are completed, we write a end case statement here as indicated here. And then what is the status of QB? Because Q we have defined here, we have not defined any QB value. So after every case, either this case gets executed or this case get executed, the QB has to be the complement of this. So therefore after the end case, I'm writing a statement called as QB is equal to inversion of Q. So whatever may be Q value, QB has to be its inversion. Now my begin will have end. So this is overall begin and end statements. Now my entire code, what I was required is completely written, and therefore I complete the program by writing a directive called as end module. So with this my program is complete. I hope so that you people have understood this. Okay. So now we'll try to go to execution part of this. So D flip flop behavioral modeling. I've set it as a top model. Okay. And now I want to execute this. Okay. Let us see whether this program is going to be executed or not, and I'll try to verify whether this is going to be working or no. So synthesizing is done. I'm getting into the loop. So therefore implement design. So again observe that there is only one warning which is generated here. Okay, because I'm using a combinatorial loop which is a continuous loop. So design can be implemented. So let us go to the simulation now. Okay, and double click on the D flip flop behavioral modeling. Now behavioral check syntax. Now this will show you exact result. Okay, so everything is right. Now go for a simulation of this particular D flip flop. Yes, so now waveform is generated. Now my job is to see whether this inputs and outputs are doing the correct job or not. So for this D is my input. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll set force constant. So shall we start with 0? Okay, so D is 0 initially. Okay, I say yes. Now the clock is also an input for us. Now how to set the clock? Okay, see for the first time. Force clock. Okay, now I'll just go through once again. Okay, what I did here is right click. Instead of force constant, I'll be using here force clock. Okay, is the difference. So leading edge 0, trailing edge 1. So leading edge 0 and trailing edge is 1. So let us see some period of 10. I'll set some period of 10. Okay, say apply and okay. Now D and clock are the only inputs. So therefore I have set only D and clock. Now all the possible required inputs are been given, and now we have to run the simulation till a certain specific time. So I have pressed that. Now what can you see here? Now what can you see here? So when D is 0, okay, so I'll just minimize this particular thing, okay, so that it will be easily visible to you. I've just clicked here. I'm zooming in, okay, because it is a clock. Understood? Getting this one? I think it's visible to you, right? Now you can see that how this clock is changing. You can observe here. So this is clock 0, clock is 1, clock is 0, clock is 1. What is the period I have set? 10. So after every 10 time cycles, the clock is changing from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. What about the D status? D has to remain as 0. So for any number of clocks, D has to remain as 0. Now what is happening? That is very important for us to observe. So when D is 0, okay, when D is 0, okay, and when clock is also 0. So let us take this example. When D is 0 and clock is also 0, what should be the D flip flop output? It should remain in the previous state. So what is the previous state here? 0, 1. So Q is 0, Q bar is 1. This is the overall state, 0 and 1 state. Well, now when the clock rises from 0 to 1, now the flip flop is enabled and it will read the value of D. Whatever is the D value, now that is reflected at Q. So Q is 0 and Q bar is 1. Okay, so the clock when it rises from 0 to 1, then whatever is at the input D will be received by the flip flop and it will produce that as an output value. So now let us see another change. Now instead of D0, now I'll force it to be 1 and I'll check the output for this particular case also. So I run the simulation once again. Now instead of D0, I'm making a D as 1. Now let us see now what will happen to this particular case. Okay. Now this is for D0. Can observe here. D is 0. This case, now this particular case is for D is 1. So what I'll do here, I click here for zoom in. Okay, when D is 1, then what has happened? Okay, and see this. Now when D is 1, okay, when D is 1, clock is 1, Q is 1, Q is 1. And what should be Q bar? It has to be 0. But when clock was 0, when clock is 0, what has happened? Q is 1, Q bar is 0. Previous state. Whatever is the previous state, it has continued that. But when clock changes to 1, obviously the output is because of the input, that is 1, and Q has become 1 and Q bar has become 0. So I think with this we have verified the operation of D flip-flop using behavioral modeling. Now let us do the same D flip-flop with respect to gate level modeling. Now can we do with the gate level modeling also? So this is for behavioral modeling. Now this is what I'm going to go do for gate level modelings. Okay. So now in the gate level modeling, can observe. Okay, what I have done here is, okay. So let's go to the diagram. So how many NAND gates are connected? 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 NAND gates are connected. Am I right? And how many NOT gates? 1 NOT gate. And what is the input for NOT gate? This and this, right? Okay. And the input for the first NAND gate are clock. Okay. Now let us go to the program. How it is written. So module D flip flop, D clock, Q and QB. The port list will remain the same. Now input D and clock, in out. This is very important. In out, because the Q and QB are not here only the outputs. Okay, you can see this. Q and QB are not only the outputs; they even act as input also. They act even as input also. So therefore, when we go for gate level modeling, we have to be very careful about the port lines or about the nets and wire declarations. So therefore, in this particular, I have declared this Q and QB as in out. They are not out here. Okay, they are not only producing the output, they are in outs. Am I right? So next is wires. I need some additional wire for interconnections like X, Y, and DB. Okay, some names are being given to this X, Y, and DB. Okay, so for not, I have to give the name for each of the gate, and this is called as gate primitive. Okay, directly available in the Verilog. Okay, they will give the functionality of the gates, and they are called as the gate primitives. So not I1 dB comma D. dB comma D is nothing but this. So for not, input is dB, output is dB comma D. Okay, so for every gate primitives, always right hand side will be the input, left hand side will be the output. So for not output, D is the input, D is the input, output is what? dB, output is dB, correct? Similarly for NAND N1, what are the inputs for this? Clock and D are inputs, output is X. X is nothing but here what? This wire. X is nothing but this wire. Y is nothing but this wire, because they are intermediates, because nothing is defined for them. At least for this there is a declaration of port. Here also there is a declaration of port, but for this line there is nothing declared. So therefore, which are not declared either by the ports has to be declared by wires. Okay, so therefore this is X wire and this is Y wire as per the program. So therefore for NAND N1, D and clock are input, X is output. Similarly for NAND N2, DB and clock are inputs. DB and clock are inputs, and what is output here is nothing defined. So therefore what I will define this as wire. So what is defined as wire? Y. So therefore you can see that in wire I have defined X, Y and DB. 3 are required. So where they are available? Can you tell me where they are available? One is this. This is called DB. This is called X. This is called Y. Okay, clear? Right. Next NAND N3, QB, X and Q. Okay, for this gate, QB, X, output is Q. And for this NAND gate, Q, Y, output is QB. So Q, Y, output is QB. I think you have understood how will be the gate level design. Are you getting this one? Okay. So now shall we go to the simulation of this, right? Okay, synthesis has been done. Implement design. I'll go to the simulation. Now what I'm going to press here is gate level design. Okay, I want to do the simulation of this. So behavioral check syntax. Simulate the behavioral model. Are you getting this? D clock Q. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. So here force constant. I'll directly go for 1 here. I'll take only one case. And then clock is force clock. Okay, 0. Trailing edge is 1. So I'll take a period of 10 and I apply and I say OK. And now I run the simulation and I see the outputs. So 1, 0, Q is 1, Q bar is 0. Are you getting this one? Okay, this is how. If you want to see the very correct precisely, Press here, go for zoom in, are getting the clock. You can see this. Am I right? Okay, similarly if you change D0, you will be getting QB as 0 and Q as 0 and QB as 1. I think you people have understood what exactly is a D flip flop is all about. So now shall we go to the next one? Okay, so next one will be SR flip flop. Now what is the difference between D and SR as far as construction is considered? So if you remove this inverter, and you separate them, okay, and these two will get only the clock. These two will get the clock, but this line will be separated. I will not put an inverter, I will separate them. Then this gives you SR flip flop. Getting this construction? Okay, so this is S. Now this is called as R, Q and Q bar. Okay, what is the construction now? Table of this, or we also called as a excitation or transition table of this particular flip flop is this. Okay, so SR flip flop symbol is this. S and R are inputs, Q and Q bar are outputs. So for 0 0, output will remain at no change state. Okay, for SR flip flop, for 0 0, output will remain at no change. No change means what? Whatever was the previous state will continue as it is. But when you apply 0 1, the output will go to 0 state. When you apply 1 0, output will go to 1 state. 1 state here is, it means that for 0 1 it goes for reset state. For 1 0 it goes for set state. And 1 1 is undefined. 1 1 is undefined. Okay, now let us see the construction of this SR flip flop with the help of our Verilog coding. So we'll go to the SR flip flop and we'll try to go for the verification. First we'll go to behavioral modeling, okay, and then we'll go to the next one. Is it okay? Okay. So this is now behavioral modeling. Now SR flip flop is set as a top model, okay, because there are multiple programs, so therefore I'm going to select out of them one particular. Okay, now how I've written the code here for in the behavioral, I use the same technique which I've done for D flip flop also. So module SR flip flop, SR, clock, Q and QB. Out of this, which all are inputs, S, R and clock, and which all are outputs, Q and QB, and they are declared as registers also. Initial, begin. Okay, what I have done here is, initially I have set a state at Q. Because it is SR flip flop, I have to have an initial state. So therefore initially I say that begin Q with 1. Begin Q is equal to 1 and end. Begin and end is completed here. Then under always at positive edge of the clock, I begin and I have a case statement. But when I have multiple variables, how to write case statement? I have to use a flower bracket, and under this flower bracket I have to mention the variables. Suppose you have multiple variables to check, I have to use a flower bracket, and inside a flower bracket I need to mention the values for this particular case. Okay. So now when both S and R are 0 0, when this particular case get executed, when both are 0 0, Q will continue as Q. Q will continue as Q means what? Initially the state is 1. So therefore Q will continue as Q, previous state. When the state is 0 1, output will go to 0 state. When the case is 1 0, output will go to 1 state, and when the case is 1 1, the output will go to 1 dash bx. Bx means what? Undefined state. Are you getting this point? Okay, so whatever is the behavior of the same flip flops, I need to just mention them in the form of cases, case declarations. Then end case technique remains the same. So complement has to be created at QB, that is created by QB is equal to inversion of Q. And for this particular begin, and lastly is the end module. Okay, so the techniques remain the same but with slight modifications to be incorporated. So the program is written. Let us check whether this program works according to requirement or not. So let us go for synthesize, and then we'll be going for the implementation design also. So everything is correct. Synthesis is done. Next we're going for implementation. Yes, place and route is going on. So implement is also happened correctly. Now let us go to the simulation. Simulation which I want to check is SR flip flop behavior level. So therefore check syntax behavioral, then behavioral, simulate behavioral model. Okay. So what I have to apply now? S and R, correct? 4 cases. So I'll force constant. S I take take 0, apply and say 1. R force constant, R also apply. So we go for 0. Okay, 1 0 we applied, correct? So clock, force clock 0, then trailing edge is 1. Let us take a clock of period of 10 and apply, say okay, and I run the simulation. So once I run the simulation, I just press here so that I can go to this particular rising and falling edges to check what will happen to this. So when the clock is 0, when the clock is 0, S is 0, R is 0, which is a state now I'm going to go for previous state. So when clock is 0, nothing is applied. When both S and R are 0 0, the output should go to the previous state. Previous state. When clock is applied, default it should go to the previous state as it is. So either clock is 0 or clock is 1. For 0 0 case, the output will remain at no change. This is what you have verified. Okay, now I'll check S as 1. Now I'll see that what will happen to this. S as 1, and I apply the clock and run the simulation. So once I run the simulation, I go for this particular. Now I have to check in this particular case because S is 1 for this case. I expand, zoom in, and I check the results now. So for S is 0, S10, when clock is applied, you're going to get state as 10. And when clock is 1, it will continue to be at 10 state. Okay. Similarly, now if I change this S force constant, now I'll make this S as 0. Okay, apply, and R I'll make 1. If I make this 1, apply and say OK and run the simulation. Okay, now to go to third state right here. So this is for 0 0, for 0 1 0, this for 0 1 state now. Okay, I want to zoom in now. If I want to zoom in, then what will happen to this is that. Okay, so for 0 1, clock is 0, you are in 0 1 state. For 0 1, when clock is raised, so it will go to 0 1 state. Hope so that you have understood the meaning of this one. When no clock is applied, it will continue in the previous state, and when the clock gets applied, immediately it changes to the required state. Okay, this is what a property of SR flip-flop is. I think you have understood now how the SR flip-flop works under the behavioral modeling. Now let us check the same SR flip-flop with a form of the gate level design also. Now I'll set this as my set as top model. Okay, so SR flip-flop in the gate level. So we have seen the gate level design, how it is to be interconnected. This is an AND gate, N1, N2, N3, N4. Now, can you identify which all wires are required here? Okay, yes, this is one wire required here. This is another wire required here. Only two wires are required. Yes, you are correct. So I'll define SR clock, Q and QB. Input is SR clock, in out. Very importantly, in out, Q and QB, and wires. How many wires? Only two. So X and Y. So define the gates N1, N2, N3, N4. N1 is clock, S inputs, X is output. Clock R input, Y is output. QB and X are inputs, Q is output. Q and Y are inputs, QB is output, and end module. So this is how SR flip-flop is written in the gate level design. So let us go to the implementation of this program also and try to verify how this program works for us. Is it going to give the same result as that of the previous what you have done? Okay, or no? So only simple warning is generated, no issues with the warnings. Yes, implement is done. Now we can go for simulation also. Simulation of gate level, right? So this program. So behavioral check syntax I'm doing. Simulate behavioral model, correct. Getting the same? Yes. Right. So yes, I'll change it. So I'll go for directly last case, which I have not taken in the previous. Now I'll go for that. S is 1. If R is also 1, what will happen now? Okay, and the clock is force clock 0, trailing edge is 1, apply, and okay, period need to be defined as 10, apply, and okay. Now if I run the simulation, what will happen to this? Okay, so if I do this, yes, now can you see something? So when S is 1, R is 1, clock is 1, what are you getting? Q is 1 and Q bar is also 1. Are you getting this? Actually, how the flip-flops will be? They will be complements. Q and Q bar will be complement. But how you are getting here? 1, 1? No, so therefore I can also can see here, when S is 1, R is 1, clock is 0, getting 0 1, which is the previous state. So when both are 1 1, you're going to get a undefined state. So both cannot be 1 1 simultaneously. So therefore this particular state is called as forbidden state. So normally we don't use this for any of the memory design applications. Hope so you have understood, okay, how this particular SR flip flop works under the gate level designs. Now shall we go to the next one? Okay, so we'll go to the next particular flip flop. Okay, after SR, now shall we go for T flip flop. Okay, this is a structure of T flip flop. Structure of T. Okay. Now what is the property of this T flip flop and what this T flip flop stands for? T stands for toggle. Toggle flip flop. So what do you mean by toggle? That output should be always the inversion of input. Then that state is called as toggling state. So what will happen here? If T is 0, Q will be Q, Q will be Q. And when T becomes 1, Q will be Q bar. It means it is toggling. Q will change from 0 to 1. And after, if you change the next state, again it will toggle. So therefore, T flip flop is also called as clock generator. T flip flop is also called as clock generator because it will produce the toggling states. Okay. So now let us verify this with the help of our the Verilog code. So T flip flop, under the behavioral modeling, we want to check this. Okay, I'll set this as my top model because there are multiple programs. So therefore, I have to select one particular program as my top model. So next one is T flip flop. So how I have written the code here using behavioral modeling style. Module T flip flop, T, clock, Q and QB. Out of this, which all are inputs and outputs? T and clock are inputs and outputs are Q and QB and they are register type. Then initial begin. So initial begin, Q is equal to 1. That is the initial state only for one time. Only for one time. Okay, and then begin and end. Begin and end. Next, always at positive edge of the clock. Always at this particular case, what will happen? Begin with the case. T. What is the case here is with respect to T. If T is 0, Q will be Q. Okay, and if T is 1, Q will be Q bar. That is how our table has defined. So based upon the table, we have done this particular requirement. Then case is ended and QB is always the complement of Q. That is we always define after the end case statements. So end and end module. This is the overall program for T flip flop. Now let us verify this program with help of a simulator and see whether it really works according to requirement or not. So synthesis is done correctly. Then we are going for implementing design. Implementation also done correctly. Then we go for simulations. On the simulation, what is my program is T flip flop. So for T flip flop, I need to check behavioral check syntax. So once this check syntax is done, then I go for the simulation, behavioral simulation. Now my job is to only set a T. I'll force a T as 1. Okay, I'll force T as 1, apply clock and say 0. Okay, and then clock is a usual procedure 0, edge 1, period as 10. Okay, apply and say okay and run the simulation. Now go press here. Okay, right. So we'll focus here, right? So what is the state here? T is 1, clock is 1, T is 1, clock is 1, Q is 0, Q bar is 1. So T is 1, clock is 1 and Q is, yes. So you can see what is the change that has happened. Okay, with this and this one. Here the T is 1, which I am always keeping at 1. So when the clock is 0, it has continued to be 0 1 state. But when the clock changes, now see what has happened. T is 1, clock is now available. So what has happened? Change in the state 1 0. When the no clock was available, you can see this. What was the state? Previous state. But when the clock becomes available, it becomes 1 0. Secant, it is continuing. But when the clock falls, from 1 to 0, when the clock falls from 1 to 0, what will happen? So from 1 to 0, what will happen to this? Now I can see it. clock is falling, so it is going to get Q is 0, Q bar is 1. So this is the state verification for T flip-flops. Okay, similarly it can be cross-checked even for T is equal to 0 also. Are you getting this one? This is how T flip-flop will show the behavior that always will get Q and QB in the toggling state, and therefore you can observe in the waveform also that see Q is how it is toggling here. Continuously Q is toggling and always Q bar will be the complement of, therefore you are getting a clock wave generator. Not only the clock wave, you can see one more observation. It is this is frequency one cycle. Okay, now the frequency is here, so you are dividing the frequency by 2. So this is also called as f by 2 divider circuit, frequency divider circuit. And how much you are going to divide by? F by 2, frequency divider circuit. Are you getting this one? Frequency divider circuit. Is it done? Okay, so this is also called as T flip flop, right? Okay, so we'll go to the last one for today's lab, okay, which is called as now JK flip flop. Okay, where JK flip flop is also one of the important flip flops when you compare with the SR flip flop, because in SR you are getting a particular state called as the forbidden state. Okay, and this JK flip flop avoids the forbidden states. Let us see the table of this particular flip flop. When JK are 0 0 and you apply the clock, output remains at no change state. When JK is 0 1, clock is applied, output remains to reset state. When you apply input as 1 0, apply a clock and it goes to set state. And when both are 1 1, apply a clock, you get a toggling state. You get a toggling state, but not a forbidden state. Okay, so in SR you get a forbidden, but in JK that forbidden state is eliminated. Instead of forbidden, you get is a toggle state. So this is the diagram for your JK flip flop. JK flip flop. Now let us understand how to simulate this JK flip flop using the behavioral modeling. Okay, so this is a code for this. Now it is same as that of SR flip flop. So module JKFF, JK clock Q and QB. The inputs are JK and clock. Outputs register Q and QB. Initial begin. Initially, I have to set Q as 1. And once you set Q as 1, then you can pose the number of cases. Always at positive edge of clock, begin case. So when you have multiple variables, you should put under flop bracket. Okay, separated by comma. But when they are read together. So 2 dash B00, Q will be equal to Q. For 01, Q will be 0. For 10, Q will be 1. For 11, Q will be Q bar. Okay. After end case, QB will be complement of Q always. So it is same, looks same just like SR flip flop program. Only difference, instead of toggling, okay, so instead of forbidden, you are getting here is toggling state. Only difference, one line difference. Getting this one? Right. So let us see the implementation of this particular program also. Synthesize, I want to go make a JK as my top model. So now JK has become top model for me. I'll go for implementation and synthesizing of this. Once this both are done, that definitely takes more time because it is a behavioral modeling style. Then I go for this simulation. Simulation, which program? JK. So JK is behavioral syntax. Then simulate behavioral model. I'll set J value of J, force constant. I'll keep G as 0. I'll set K as 1. And I'll make clock toggling by forcing the clock 0, 1. Period I'll keep 5. Okay, period I'll keep 5 now. Run the simulation. Okay, smaller clocks, that's it, nothing more than that. So when both J and K are 0 0, when clock is applied, you're getting 0 1. And for trailing edge of the clock, when clock is 0, it goes for no change state. because when the clock is at 0, flip flop will not respond anything, therefore it continues with the previous state. Very correct. So when the clock changes, when the clock becomes 1, okay, what will be the q and qb is 0 and 1. So shall we go to the next one? So force constant, I'll make this 1. Okay, so what is the state now? Both are 1 1. Go for this, go for the second case. Okay, I go for zoom in, I go for zoom in for the, yes. Now what is this? J is 1, K is 1, uh, the clock is 1. Clock is 1, what is the state is 1 0. Right? When the clock becomes 1 and 0. When the next clock occurs, so this is the positive edge of the clock. Now this is the positive edge of the clock. What will happen at the positive edge? You can see in the previous positive edge, for 1 1, q is 1, q bar is 0. For the next positive edge, q is 0, q bar is 1. Again for the next positive edge, 1 0. Again for the next positive edge, 0 1, 1 0, 0 1, 1 0, 0 1. So what this is called now is toggling state. Did you understand now what is toggling state is all about? Okay, yes, very correct. Toggling state. Hope so that I have cleared all your doubts. Okay, with respect to the various flip flops, operations of them, how they are simulated on Verilog platform. So today we'll have end up for this particular lab session wherein we have tried to identify the flip flops, their behavior, how they are simulated on the Simulink platform. Thank you one and all for listening to this video lecture series.